welcome to my channel. I'm Jen. I thought I'd do an update today on helping your toddler to settle in at preschool. My son was only 2 years and 2 months, I think, when he started preschool, so he was really young, and I was only putting him in for one morning a week just so that it would help him like socialise, and I really did it for his benefit and to mix with other kids and really just help his development. On his very first day of starting preschool, he went in like an absolute dream. There was no tears, no tantrums, he was excited, and I thought, wow, like this is easy. Like I thought I'd got away really lightly, but the following week it all changed. He was so upset, and oh my god, it was the most heartbreaking thing, leaving my son like screaming and crying out for me. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I felt so guilty because like I didn't need to put him in there. I was really doing it just for his benefit. And oh my god, every week I was like, should I be doing this? Should I just take him out? It's too upsetting for him. But I did persevere because I did think that this was the best thing for him. And you know, the teacher said that once he was settled, he actually was enjoying it. So I persevered, and this is my 5 top tips for helping your child settle. Tip number 1, tell your child that you're leaving. I know it's really easy that if they're happily playing that you don't want to get them upset, so you just kind of sneak out. But when they realise that you're gone and you haven't told them that you're gone and they don't know if you're coming back, they will get very, very distressed. My mother-in-law worked at a school. She was a teaching assistant, and she said that's one of the biggest problems that they had. So she said it was always really important, tell your child that you're leaving. I remember Ralph being really upset the first few times I did this, but I made sure I told him that I was coming back. I'd tell him that I was just like popping out for apples. He was really into apples one week, so I said, look, I'm gonna go and get the apples and I'll come back and I'll bring you an apple when I'm back, and you know, play happily and mum will be back before you know it. Or, you know, I said I was going to make some lunch, or anything I could do to tell him that I was just gonna do something and that I would be coming back for him. That's the biggest thing. Make sure you tell your child you are coming back for them. My next tip is to don't hang around. I think I gave Ralph so many mixed signals. Like one week I'd stay for like 20 minutes, the next I'd stay for an hour because I felt he'd need me more. Then I'd stay for like half an hour another time, and then, you know, I just kept chopping and changing, and he didn't really know how long I was ever going to be there with him. And obviously because I've stayed longer some weeks, then he would cry more to hope that I'd stay longer, and it really messed up like a routine. So what I started doing is just taking him in 10-15 minutes, playing with him, making sure he was happy, then tell him I'm leaving. And obviously he did get upset, he did get, you know, it was just heartbreaking. He didn't want me to leave, but once he started realising the routine, and it was like consistency, I think is like the key, that he knew I was going to stay for a certain amount of time, I'd say goodbye, I'd leave and I'd come back. And I think if you can kind of keep the same routine each time, that helps them know what's going to happen. My next tip is to talk about preschool. As I said to you, Ralph was only put in for one morning a week. He was very young, and I just wanted to slowly sort of ease him into school life. But a week between sessions is quite a long time for a child. And by the time that next week come around, it was like he didn't want to go back, and it was like all new again. So within the week between him going to preschool, I spoke about preschool a lot. Just generally, like, oh, like we're going to go preschool soon, or if we drove past it, I was like, oh, there's your school, I bet you have so much fun there, and what do you play with at preschool, and do you have any friends, and what's your favourite toy? Oh, I met your teacher, isn't she so lovely? Just anything to get them engaged in a conversation that's a positive and happy sort of conversation about school. And this will really help when school comes around again, so it's like familiar to them in that week that they haven't been there. My next tip is to pick your child up early. You might find that when they first start school that they can't quite go the whole time. Now Ralph was only going in from 9 till 12, but he was still kind of sometimes having a nap about 11. So around that time, the teachers found that he'd get really tired, really grumpy, really upset, and would really cry for me. So what I used to do is I used to just sit in the car from about 11, and I would, as soon as he would start getting upset, the teacher would know I was there, and I would then go in and pick him up, and that way he would leave school happy. I think the worst thing is when he's got so upset and then he's had to wait for me to arrive to pick him up, and then like that's a really bad experience for him. So the next time preschool comes around, all he can think of is that he's cried for half hour till I've got to him. So what I used to do is just sit outside. I knew the time that he would need me, and the teachers knew I was there, and literally as soon as he started getting upset, they would call me, I'd come in and pick him up. Now I only really had to do this for a couple of weeks, and every week he would go like a little bit longer. So like, you know, where I was picking up at 11, it then got 15, then 30, and eventually he was going the whole time. And they said, like, you know, don't worry about sitting in the car anymore. But I know not every parent's able to do that, especially if you're putting your child in because you're going to work or something like that. But if you've got a family member that's like on call that can just kind of hang around that little bit, it only takes a few weeks, and as long as your child comes out happy, it really helps the next time that they have to go. So my last one is rewards. Now I'm sure if you're a mum of a toddler, you have got some sort of reward chart or something like that going on. But I found when I first tried to get Ralph settled, it really helped to let him know that I was popping out, but I was going to bring him something when I came back. And I said to him, if he was a good boy at preschool and the teachers told me that he was good, then I would bring something with me. And this did help to settle him in. Now, one week it might have been an apple. I said that he was into apples one week, so I said I was going to go and I'd bring him an apple for when I picked him up. The next week might have been like a little tractor or just something small that I know he likes, and it just got him excited for preschool, and then knowing that I was going to come back with something good and fun for him. Now obviously you don't want to get in the habit that every time you pick your kid up from school you're going to come with some new toy or something like that. So I did this just for a few weeks just to help him settle, and once he started settling, I changed actually bringing him like gifts into turning it into maybe a star to go on his reward chart. So he wasn't getting something every time, but he was still being rewarded for like good behaviour while he was at school. So there you go, they are my top 5 tips. I stuck with these every single week, and within one term Ralph was settled. So I know that they really worked for us. My son is quite a little character. He's a real like confident, strong-willed little toddler, and when he started preschool he changed. He was like he lost all his confidence. He was really clingy. If we ever went out anywhere, he would just ask to come home. I think it just felt like he felt safe when he was at home with me, and he knew like by being at home there was no risk of having to go back to school and me leaving him. So he'd always ask us to go home, which was just so unlike him. And I really like debated whether like preschool was right for him, but I stuck with it. I did the tips that I said, I stuck with them every single week, and I found that they really helped. And it is worth persevering. I know it's hard and it is heartbreaking when your kids are so upset and they're crying for you. But now, like within one term, my son just runs off. He's so excited for preschool. Like, he's like, oh, can I go to school today? And he runs in now, he puts his drink on the side, his coat on the peg, he runs off to play, and he's just like, bye mum, see you later. You know, I've just seen a massive change in him, and that confident little boy that I knew is now like coming out at school, and the teachers are noticing such a big difference in him, and they're seeing the little boy that I know and love. So yeah, it's really worth persevering. I know it's hard, but it will be the best thing for them, and they will love it once they're settled. So if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. I do want to do a lot more videos like this, so I hope you found it helpful, and thanks so much for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye.